Empire.
Welcome to Inside the Cap. I'm your host, Joel Corey. You can find me on Twitter at CoreyJoel, that's CorryJoel, and also read my regular CBSSports.com column, Agents Take on NFL Salary Cap and Contract Matters. This time we're going to take a look at the other season that goes on during the preseason besides games being played, and that's contract extension season. We've had the receiver market become extremely settled with DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel signing 3-year deals for over $23 million per year, 3-year extensions that is. Early part of training camp, we also had Kyler Murray become the second highest paid player in the NFL behind Aaron Rodgers on a 5-year extension, averaging $46.1 million per year, $103 million fully guaranteed at signing, $160 in overall guarantees. It was the deal became more known for the infamous independent study clause, which was subsequently taken out of the deal. So we're going to focus on some guys who are trying to get deals done or would like to have deals done before the regular season starts. And first up will be the one which everyone has most interest in, and that is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is operating without an agent, and he came out yesterday and said that if there's not a deal done by the start of the regular season, he's going to call for negotiations. That's not an unusual tactic we saw in 2019. The reason why Russell Wilson got a deal done in April, he told the Seahawks that if we don't get a deal done by the time the offseason workout program starts, I'm not negotiating with you guys anymore. And that got the deal done. Jackson finally, before training camp started, or right at the start of training camp, said that he wanted to get a deal done as opposed to going year to year. Now, if I would imagine that the the Ravens are looking at that Kyler Murray contract as being more indicative of the marketplace, which isn't fully guaranteed at signing, whereas Jackson may be looking for that fully guaranteed contract that Deshaun Watson got, $230 million for 5 years, averaging $46 million per year. And when that deal came out, Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti was not very happy, expressed his displeasure about fully guaranteed contract, particularly someone who in all likelihood is going to be suspended, if not for the whole season for violating the personal conduct policy, for a good portion of the 22 season, being the first one to get the fully guaranteed contract. Now, if that's what is the biggest holdup in the deal as opposed to anything else, and we don't get a deal done, then we're looking at the franchise tag. Then the question becomes, which franchise tag? If you're talking non-exclusive franchise tag, that number is going to be about $32 million, depending upon where the cap comes in. And the Ravens would have a chance to match an offer sheet. If they don't match it, 2 first-round picks as compensation. Now, we did see that the compensation for Watson and also Russell Wilson when he was traded from the Seahawks to the Broncos was significantly more than 2 first-round picks. So some team might think that's a steal to get a quarterback of Lamar Jackson's caliber for just 2 first-round picks. And if not, the Ravens could match it. And that could be the pathway to a fully guaranteed contract. That someone puts a fully guaranteed offer sheet out there and the Ravens have to match that, the guarantees as well. And could be that's how Jackson gets a fully guaranteed contract. Now, the other thing is, let's say they go the exclusive route. The exclusive franchise tag is a different calculation. It's going to be the average of top 5 quarterback salaries, essentially cap numbers minus for a couple of adjustments at the end of the restricted free agent period, which will be, I don't know, can't tell you the exact date. but it'll be like April 21st next year. Now, salaries get frozen, like for restructures, the day you put the tag on them. The tag deadline is March 7th next year. So if there isn't a restructure done by that time, the cap number at that time would be what counts for the calculation. You could have a subsequent restructure, like say Dallas restructures Dak Prescott on March 10th. The restructure number doesn't count. It's what the cap number was as of March 7th. Obviously, if guys get cut, they fall out of the calculation or new deals get done as well. But right now, that number projects to $45.648 million. So maybe you want to avoid the whole, if you got to that, the whole offer sheet possibility. Now, if I start going year to year at that type of number, and I'm Lamar Jackson's, I might be inclined to go the Kirk Cousins route if I can't get exactly what I want. Because the second franchise tag in 2024 would be 120% of the first one, and as of now, that projects to $54,777,600. Now, third franchise tag the following year, 2025, would be 144%. Third and final franchise tag. That'd be almost $79 million. So Lamar Jackson could most likely have his freedom after making about $100.425 million, the way this thing's shaking out right now, over 2 years of franchise tags, then be free in 2025. And we saw that Cousins, very good quarterback, or good quarterback, maybe very good is a overstatement, but good quarterback, got a fully guaranteed 3-year contract at the time, which was unprecedented, became the highest paid player in the league. So you get Jackson out there in 2025, he can probably write his own, name his own price. Now, if he's dead set on a fully guaranteed contract and the Ravens don't want to go to the Deshaun Watson level in terms of the amount of money fully guaranteed, maybe you look for the shorter term for a full guarantee. He's under contract this year, 5th-year option for $23.016 million. That's fully guaranteed. And if you know the exclusive franchise tag is going to average basically 50.2125 as a projection over the 2 years, maybe you structure 3 years. 3-year extension, so you have him under contract for 4 years, shorter term deal. Your guarantees aren't as much. Base it around $50 million or so. It's $150 million, 3 years, with the 23.016. So that's basically $173.016 million, and you've got him 22, 23, 24, and 25. That may be the compromise. The total guarantee would be less than Kyler Murray's if you include the additional amount of money that can become guaranteed later in the deal. That doesn't include an injury guarantee at signing. That number is $189.5 million, so you'd be under that as well. But that may be one way to get a Lamar Jackson deal done before the regular season starts, which is his deadline. Now, another quarterback that now some people are speculating could get a deal done is Russell Wilson. The Rob Walton Group was officially approved as owners of the Broncos last week. He is by far the richest owner in the NFL, estimated net worth about $60 billion. Nobody's remotely close to that. And what kind of raised the red flag was Mark Rodgers, Russell Wilson's agent, was at training camp last week talking to ownership. Now, George Payton, the GM, a couple of weeks ago said they'll get a deal done at the right time. Russell Wilson has a ton of leverage to more or less, to me, ask for what he wants. One, because of draft capital that they gave up to acquire him. Seattle got multiple players: tight end Noah Fant, defensive lineman Shelby Harris, quarterback Drew Lock, 22 and 23 first round picks, 22 and 23 second round picks, and a 22 fifth round pick to get Wilson and 22 fourth round pick. Generally, if you don't get a deal done as the team at the time of the trade, it's going to cost you more in the long run. So, to me, Wilson holds all the cards. His question is, does he want to fully exploit his leverage? We saw that this year, Matthew Stafford, a guy who's on now his fourth NFL contract, didn't fully exploit his leverage. Had a chance to become, if he wanted to, second highest paid player in the NFL. Just because the draft capital that was given up to acquire him, and he won a Super Bowl in the first year. But he decided just to go for something that's just fair. I don't know what the primary motivation or goal would be for Russell Wilson. Would he go that route? Or would he go the Aaron Rodgers route, and I'm looking to maximize everything I can, exploit my leverage? Now, his agent, Mark Rodgers, has not been afraid to try to think outside the box. This is a guy that unsuccessfully tried to get Wilson's compensation in latter years of a contract with the Seahawks tied to growth in the salary cap. He comes from a baseball background, so he's used to fully guaranteed contracts. You got richest owner by far in the NFL, so NFL's funding rules about having to put future guarantees that are just more than injury, skill, cap, so forth, in escrow. Not a problem with Rob Walton, the Walmart heir. So last time Russell Wilson signed, he became the highest paid player in the league. Highest paid player in the league right now is Aaron Rodgers. 3-year deal, $150.815 million, averages $50,271,666. So Russell Wilson is under contract for 2 years, 2022 and 2023. They've already paid him a $5 million fifth day of the league year roster bonus. So he's got $19 million left for this year. His 2023 base salary was originally $21 million. Based on his 2020 performance, he earned $1 million of an escalator, so it's now $22 million, and he's got a $5 million fifth day league year roster bonus as well. So that's essentially $46 million left on his contract. He's already gotten paid the $5 million. He's done 4-year extensions in the past. His first extension off of his rookie deal in 2015 was a 4-year extension. And the deal that he did in 2019 was another 4-year extension. So just based on that, I'm thinking tack on 4 more new years. Then he's under contract for 6 total years. You've already got him for $46 million. And if he's looking for a fully guaranteed contract, and you want to be highest paid player, that's new money of let's say $50.5 million. That's 202. You add the $46 million in, then you've got $248 million fully guaranteed. You're beating Deshaun Watson on the fully guaranteed amount because you got 248 to his 230. Now, if you just wanted to barely beat him, say it's 241, and you've got that 46 left, that leaves you 185 on a 4-year extension. Then you're at $46.25 million, which would barely beat Kyler Murray, 46-1, and Watson. So you'd still have the most overall guarantee, and you'd also get your fully guaranteed contract, most fully guaranteed contract, and you'd have the highest average as well. So it's all up to Russell Wilson on whether he wants to push for the fully guaranteed contract and fully exploit his leverage. But I wouldn't rule out him getting one done this year. Originally, the timetable people thought was next year, but now you got the ownership thing squared away. And yeah, his agent at camp last week, maybe we see something done with him. Let's turn our attention away from quarterbacks. Now, the Colts want to get Quentin Nelson's extension done. Hopefully this month is what the reports have been. Now, Jim Irsay at one point said something that if I was Quentin Nelson's agent, it would be music to my ears. And it's what I called my version when I was an agent, Miranda. Anything positive a head coach, front office executive, or owner says about my client can and will be used against you in a negotiation. Well, Jim Irsay has called Quentin Nelson a generational talent and compared him favorably to John Hannah. For those of you who don't know, John Hannah is in that discussion for the greatest offensive guard of all time. So if that's what you guys think about him, then we are going to massively reset the guard market, or there's not going to be a deal done if I'm representing Quentin Nelson. Now, his streak of first-team All-Pro selections was snapped in 2021. He had 3 straight. He had back and ankle injuries, but he's made the Pro Bowl in each of his first 4 seasons. Now, top of the guard market did not move as much as Nelson probably wanted. Highest paid guard is Brandon Sheriff when he left the Commanders after being franchise tagged twice in free agency to go to the Jaguars. He got a 3-year deal for $49.5 million. That's the base value, averaging $16.5 million per year. That's $52.5 is the total value with incentives. That's not what I'm looking to do. I want to be the first $20 million per year guard, particularly if I'm Quentin Nelson. Since you think I may be the best guard to ever play the game, then we're blowing up the guard market if I'm representing him. Now, if there is an offer on the table which doesn't make me the highest paid offensive lineman on the team, I don't consider it a serious offer. Highest paid offensive lineman on the team is right tackle Braden Smith, who signed last year for $17.5 million per year. But if I can't get to 20, I want to be the highest paid non-quarterback on the team. Last year, Darius Leonard, also a 3-time first-team All-Pro. Last preseason, signed 5 years, $98.5 million extension for $19.7 million per year. So if I can't get to 20, I want to be the highest paid non-quarterback on the team. Now, I also want to be one of the 5 highest paid offensive linemen in the NFL. And it's all tackles. You've got Trent Williams at $23.01 million, Dave Bakhtiari at $23 million, Laramie Tunsil at $22 million, Ronnie Stanley at $19.75 million, and Ron Ramczyk at $19.2 million. So top 5. I can't get to top 3. That's probably a bridge too far, but got to be at least top 5. Want to be more than Leonard. Trying to be the first $20 million per year guy. It's an interior offensive lineman. Now, what if we don't get a deal done? And this is where you may have ammunition to get to 20. You're going to stick a franchise tag on him. You're not going to let him walk out the door. He's playing on a 5th-year option of $13.754 million, but you're not letting him walk out the door. Under my projections, and this is at the salary cap would be $225. You've got the offensive lineman number jumping from this year's $16.662 million to $18.336 million. And what agents will sometimes do is they'll take the average of 2 franchise tags and use that as a basis for a long-term deal. So if you had to go second franchise tag based on that number, and that means that the tag would be basically 8.15% of the cap. We don't know where the cap's going to come in, but let's say it's 225. Then the second tag would be slightly over 22 million. So we're talking basically 40.34 million for 2 tags. So that gets to 20.17. So Quentin Nelson's Colts' priority to get done will become the highest paid guard when there's a deal. It's just a question of how much more he's going to get than Brandon Sheriff, and whether he's going to be able to really blow it out of the water and just dramatically reset the market. Now let's turn our attention to two hold-ins. Because of the fines in the CBA, $40,000 for each day of missed training camp if you are on a rookie contract, and then if you're in the fifth-year option, not only is there $40,000 for each day that you hold out of training camp, you have an additional penalty of 1 week's salary for each preseason game missed. Fine for guys on the rookie contracts is forgivable, can be waived or reduced. It's $50,000 per day for guys on veteran contracts. But if you are on a veteran contract and signed as an unrestricted free agent, then that game check penalty also applies to you. The $50,000 per day is not forgivable. It's mandatory. Fine has to be taken. Now, because of the steep fines in the 2020 CBA, last year we saw a new phenomenon called the hold-in. And we saw Jamal Adams, TJ Watt hold in, didn't do anything team-related, did some individual stuff on occasion, conditioned to stay in shape until they had new contracts. In TJ Watt's case, that didn't happen until a week before the regular season. Dwayne Brown also held in and just got some modest adjustments to his contract and just recently signed with the New York Jets. Now, we've got Darwin James holding out with the Chargers. Everything's going smoothly with that holding in, I should say. With that hold in, not hold out, it's a hold in because they both reported. Everything's going smoothly with that hold in. The anticipation is there will be a deal done before the start of the regular season. That way, James will not be playing on his $9.052 million option. Now, he's probably got his sights set on becoming the highest paid safety. Minkah Fitzpatrick, during the offseason, I believe in June, became the highest paid safety of the Steelers. 4-year extension averaging $18.247 million per year with $36 million fully guaranteed at signing. Now, the big hesitation to me with making James the highest paid safety is he's got durability concerns. Awesome rookie year. First team All-Pro as a rookie. Pro Bowler. Played 5 games over the next 2 years because of injuries. And there was some speculation that the Chargers weren't going to pick up the 5th-year option. They did. You have to do it after the 3rd year. Bounced back last year and got back to his previous form. He had off-season shoulder surgery, left shoulder surgery as well. So there's another injury you had to deal with. So I understand why there would be some concern about wanting to make him the highest paid player given the durability issues. Now, one thing that you might want to do from a team standpoint is stick per game roster bonuses in a contract, which I tweeted last week that I hated per game roster bonuses with passion when I was an agent. I'd rather have the money in base salary, certainty of earning the money. With per game roster bonuses, typically you have to be active in order to earn the money. So let's say you had $50,000 for each game you're active. 17 games, that's $850,000. And let's say you get hurt, you miss 8 games. You're out $400,000. Or let's say week 18, the team has clinched a playoff berth. You're healthy. They don't want to play you. Risk injury because they're sitting starters. You're in street clothes. You're out $8,000. Didn't like those things. In this case, I could see where the Chargers would want them because of durability concerns. Well, if I'm James, I'm balking at those because no other Charger has them. They don't do them. So if I'm the Chargers, another thing I'm thinking about is going back to the Sean Lee contract when he got his big deal with the Cowboys. Sean Lee was someone that was great when he was healthy, but availability was not his best ability. So when he signed a 6-year extension in 2013, it had a significant escalator each year, where it was either $1.5 million base salary escalator or $2 million base salary escalator if he played 80% in the previous year. So if I'm the Chargers, I'd be fine making James one of the three highest paid safeties. And to do that, if you're at 17, you would be easily third. It's Harrison Smith right now at shade over 16. Jamal Adams is second at 17.5. I might even be willing to go, if I'm the Chargers, you can earn it, stay on the field. You can hit the 80%. We'll have an escalator $2 million each year, up to $2 million each year. So you're at 19 if you do it. Now, if I'm the agent, I'm balking at that. I'm like, you're going to assume the risk. He needs to be the highest paid guy. You're paying him what you expect him to do. You expect him to be healthy. And we expect him to be the best safety in football. So you're going to have to top Mika Fitzpatrick. Now, the agent is David Mulgatta, who did that landmark Deshaun Watson contract. He also represents Kevin Byard, who became the highest paid safety when he signed. I think that was 2019, I believe, and also Budda Baker, who became the highest paid safety in 2020. And when Byard became the highest paid safety, the market was at 14. He got 14.1. So that's less than a 1% increase. And then when Budda Baker became the highest paid safety, he got about a 1% increase. So let's say he gave Derwin James a 1% increase over Mika Fitzpatrick. Then you're going to be basically at like $4.25 million per year. So we'll see if he becomes highest paid safety. I anticipate he will, but if I'm the Chargers, I'm putting up a fight because of durability concerns. Now, let's turn our attentions to the hold-in where everything seems to have gone off the rails a little bit. Through Ian Rappaport last week, we had Roquan Smith, who released a statement that the Bears hadn't been dealing in good faith. They've been giving him take it or leave it offers, and he's lost trust in the organization. One thing that did catch my eye was they asked for a de-escalator. Smith gave Rappaport that there are 94 non-quarterbacks averaging $15 million per year or more, and none of them have a de-escalator. And by de-escalator, I'm assuming he means not the workout bonus de-escalator that the Cowboys and Texans put in contracts, but a true salary de-escalator. And this is the last time you don't see true salary de-escalators in contracts. The last one I can recall of any consequence was in Tyler Lockett's first extension, not the one he signed last year, but the extension he signed, I believe that was in 2018. I remember there being a base salary de-escalator if he didn't hit certain statistical thresholds. He had an escalator, de-escalator, so it worked both ways, but that's highly unusual in a contract. So I can see where there'd be some offense to that. Ryan Poles hastily called a press conference and then pushed back on that a little bit, saying he thought they'd been treating him fairly. They're committed to trying to get something done, and there are record-breaking elements of the contract. Presumably, since Smith said the deal was backloaded, that they're going to give him the biggest signing bonus for a linebacker. Currently, the biggest signing bonus for a linebacker is Shaquille Leonard's $20 million. So that's probably what Poles was referencing. Now, we've seen some backloaded deals which will make someone the highest paid player at a position. I'm assuming that Roquan Smith wants to be the highest paid off-ball linebacker. That's currently Shaquille Leonard at $19.7 million per year. A couple of years ago, we saw Alvin Kamara sign a deal for $15 million per year, $75 million over 5 new years. Yeah, but that's really 50 over 4, because $25 million in the last year, he's never going to get that. So I'm assuming there's some serious backloading in the offer. I'm not big on, as an agent, these cosmetic deals. And we saw 2 of them at the wide receiver position. Devontae Adams, $140 million over 5 years. He's got like $36.25 million each of the last year, so it's really $67.5 over 3 realistically. We saw Von Miller, $120 over $6 million. He's not going to be playing at, 36, 37, 38, those inflated last 2 years of the contract. It's not a real $20 million per year deal. Tyreek Hill, $30 million per year on the extension, but it's really 75 over 3, $25 million per year. He's not going to be playing $45 million the last year. I've never been a big proponent of that. I'm like, if it ain't real, I don't want the distinction of being able to say I'm the highest paid guy. I was more of a substance over form guy. If I'm going to be the highest paid, I want it to look like a real highest paid deal, and we get there. Roquan Smith was on the physically unable to perform list, PUP. I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but the day after he went public, he comes off PUP. Now, there have been people who were saying he'd be subject to the $40,000 per day fine and the game check fine. That applies to a holdout. This is a hold in. Now, CBA does have different discipline should the Bears want to fine him. He didn't practice on, I believe that was, Thursday? He didn't practice on Thursday, and Matt Eberflus, the head coach, was not happy about it. He was like, I don't know why he's practicing. I expect other players to practice. You got to ask him. So we saw last couple of weeks ago, I think it was late last week, Kareem Hunt, the second running back for the Cleveland Browns. Once the new contractor traded, held in, he got fined. The fine wasn't released, but the way I'm reading under Article 42 of the CBA, which handles club discipline, there's a separate section, unexcused miss mandatory meeting, practice curfew, scheduled appointment with club physician or trainer, material failure to follow club rehabilitation directions, scheduled promotional activity, scheduled workout, weigh-in, or meal, progressive discipline. The fine, you have to go to the exhibit at the end of the section for the 2022 Exhibit A. Fine for each time it would happen would be $15,090, and it says progressive discipline. So the way progressive discipline works under the CBA is for first offense, it's 40% of the max fine. For a second offense, 70% of the max fine. Third offense, it's 100%, which would be the $15,090. Now, you can give a player a warning or two in lieu of a fine, but then the third time, 100%, and then it's 100% after that. Now, if the Bears are trying to sign this guy, don't want to trade him, which they said they weren't going to do, don't want to further fan the flames, they're going to let that slide. They're going to come up with some sort of plan where he's doing conditioning or whatever, but they're not fining him. Because if you're trying to sign him, obviously it could be forgiven in his case, but why would you want to inflame what is already an acrimonious situation? Now, one thing I did see that came out a lot was Roquan Smith doesn't force any turnovers. That's where Shaquille Leonard may be better than anybody else in the league. 17 forced fumbles through his first 4 years. Roquan Smith 1. Now, I also saw something else where it was talking about first 4 years, players with said 500 tackles, I believe it was 10 sacks, 5 interceptions, and 30 tackles for loss. Now, I looked at the list, and it was like 5 people: Patrick Willis, Shaquille Leonard, Brian Urlacher, Roquan Smith, and Levante David. Now, if you raise it to 40 tackles for loss, there's three guys: Urlacher, Levante David, and Roquan Smith. Now, it's a pretty esteemed company. Bears got a ton of cap room next year. They're projected, depending upon where the cap comes in, to have close to $100 million in cap space. Now, I wonder whether they've raised in negotiation the idea of a franchise tag. For Lamar Jackson, that's a no-brainer. Darwin James doesn't get done, he'll probably get franchised. That number will be about 14.6. Quentin Nelson, he'll get franchised. Although, up until the past couple of years, you didn't see guards getting franchised. Scherf twice. Joe Tooney once, which was a surprise in 2020 by the Patriots. Off-ball linebacker has not been franchised since 2011. I also heard some people talk about there's a middle linebacker franchise tag. Nope. The franchise tag positions need to be redefined. There should be an edge rusher position, but there's not. There's a defensive end position, and there's a linebacker position. Now, that linebacker position is primarily made up of 3-4 outside linebackers make up the tag. So you're talking edge rushers, but they're 3-4 outside linebackers. Make up that number. So that number is going to be pretty high. As I said, you haven't had an off-ball linebacker franchise since 2011 with David Harris. And that was the year they changed the formula, was that cap percentage average thing, which went into that CBA. So the numbers got rolled back from where they'd been in 2010 somewhat. He's the last one. The Bears, however, did put a franchise tag on an off-ball linebacker once. 2007, they did franchise Lance Briggs. They're going to have a ton of cap room. They're going to have about $100 million in cap space. Now, my projections of where this number is going to be, let's say the cap is going to be $225, then we're talking right about $21 million for a franchise tag. I don't know if that came up. If it came up, then my first thought would be, wait a minute. If you could stick a franchise tag on me for basically $21 million and Leonard's at $19.7, we got to be over. You got to make me the first $20 million per year off-ball linebacker. I don't know if they brought it up or not. And then if you went twice, you're talking like 25-2. So you're basically talking two franchise tags. Average of that is $23 million per year. If they ever brought that up, that may have been a tactic. That may have been a mistake on their part, because I know he doesn't have an agent. As an agent, I'm like, look, you're going to franchise him, we'll go year to year. You're talking 18, 19. You're not making me the highest paid. We'll go year to year and then leave. And then another thing I wouldn't want is a 5-year deal. I wouldn't want one if I'm Quentin Nelson, Derwin James. It's been a bunch of 4s. And with off-ball linebacker, I particularly don't want one. I'm trying to get 2 bites of the apple like Bobby Wagner did. 4-year deal, first extension. Second one was a 3-year extension with the Seahawks in 2019. And here's the difference with Roquan Smith. He's a first-round pick, 5th-year option. Fred Warner, who's at $19.05 million, second highest paid off-ball linebacker, and Shaquille Leonard, they 2 picks. So 4-year deals. They got extended after 3 years. They did 5-year rookie contracts. 5-year extensions. So that would be, if they played out the extension after 9 years, they get a new deal. If Roquan signs a 5, he's got the 5-year rookie contract, another 5 years, that's year 10. And you're talking the way off-ball linebackers go. First, they don't age particularly well, as is what we've seen recently with some of these deals that Miles Jack got cut. Zach Cunningham took a pay cut. How much is he going to be worth after 10 years in the league? So I'd want a shorter-term deal as well. So that may be another hold-up as well. So we'll see if the Bears and Roquan Smith can get back on the same page and get something done before the regular season starts as well. And one last guy I want to mention, Darren Waller wants a new deal. in training camp, participating, leaving everything to his agent. This guy's been a stud. He's got 2 years left on his deal for $14 million. Had back-to-back 1,000-yard, 100-reception seasons. Last year, slowed by a knee injury. I'd try to become the highest-paid tight end on a new deal if I could get one done this year. The deal he signed back in, I think it was 2018, I want to say, 2019, made sense. He gave up 3 unrestricted years at about $9 million per year because he was going to get a second-round tender, and then he just blew up in a way nobody was expecting. So highest-paid tight end is George Kittle at $15 million per year. We know that New England system loves to use tight ends, tight end-friendly offense. Josh McDaniels bringing over. I'm setting my sights on something in the Hunter Renfrow neighborhood. He signed a 2-year extension, averaging $15.85 million per year. So give up 3 new years under contract for 5 years. The new money average between 15 and 16. Maybe that gets something done. If not, expect him to get done next offseason. Well, that's going to be it for this week's Inside the Cap. Don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter at Corey Joel, that's CORRYJOEL, and also read my regular CBSSports.com column, Agents Take on NFL Salary Cap and Contract Matters. I'll see you back here next time, and goodbye.